Welcome, Libra. It's your in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 18th of May for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. Going to share the big themes of the week ahead, first of all, then on screen, your adventure on Monday. Always provides an interesting backdrop. I'll then go through each of this week's influences, frame by frame, to give you a clear picture of what you can expect by the end of the video in terms of your energy, work, relationships, and finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive, but please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. On Monday, Mars, the planet of drive and passion, dives deep for you personally into the sultry sign of Taurus for 6 weeks. What's the significance? Venus, your ruler, is also on the move on Tuesday, but goes right to the top of your horoscope. It's going to be very important in terms of your business or worldly connections over the next near to 4 weeks. On Thursday, the sun moves into your sister air sign of Gemini and connects with Uranus for the first time in 78 years on Friday. That's incredibly powerful. I'm going to unpack that for you too. Now, there is a quarter moon which occurs as the week draws to a close that will need a little bit of care, so I'll share that with you as well. On the screen now, Libra, is your event chart. As ever, we need to look at the role of the two luminaries. So there's the sun coming to the end of his journey through the sign of Taurus, which represents the 8th house for you. Now, if you recall, last week we had a new moon where the moon applied to the sun, but also Mercury, the planet of communication and business, was in that conjunction. And that energy is still playing out. And you can work it very positively because later on Monday, Mars moves to join up with the sun for just about 3 days, but Mars moving into the 8th house is really going to up the ante when it comes to your desires, whether it's improving your financial situation or bringing a greater sense of desire to your love life. But on Tuesday, Venus, your ruler, is going to make its way into your 10th house. But just to say, the moon is in Gemini 2 at the start of the week. And you can see that Mercury is in a conjunction with Uranus. So there is a sense of excitement, I feel, as you come into this week. And in fact, Mars and Venus forge a lovely sextile on Monday before they both move. But then Venus moves into the sign of Cancer. Cancer is very much to do with nurture, but Venus in your 10th house is where your natural diplomacy can really have quite the impact over the next few weeks. But the link to Mars on Tuesday, by that time in Taurus, is a very, very potent one for relationships. But I think the relationships for you can be, if you're very committed and you want to make that next step forwards, perhaps moving in together, perhaps buying somewhere, perhaps even setting the date if you want a more traditional relationship. But in terms of your professional situation, your business prospects can really be heightened by Venus's beautiful angle to Mars on Tuesday. But as I mentioned at the start of this week, Mercury is aligning with Uranus. And that's a little bit of a clue of where things are going, because the excitement that that's creating is going to be palpable. And when the sun moves on Thursday to join up with Gemini, and we have Gemini season, but then itself aligns with Uranus for the first time in 78 years in Gemini on Friday. And what they're saying to you is that if there's any situation you've been in which you are not enjoying, the desire for separation could be very strong. So if you get an idea to free yourself from a job, a lifestyle choice, someone that you may have been seeing on a little bit of an ad hoc basis and it's not really working out, or you want to do something much more spontaneous as far as a travel plan, or just giving yourself an opportunity to do something completely off the cuff All of that is possible as this week goes on. Now, I mentioned that Venus has moved into the most visible part of your chart, but that's where the planet of fortune is. Just to say, they're going to be coming into an exact alignment on the 9th of June, and that could be very lucky for your professional situation. But what about that quarter moon as the week draws to a close? Well, it's going to be in the sign of Virgo, which for you represents house 12. So that can be more psychological with the sun in the ninth house. Whatever it is that comes up towards the end of this week, it can just feel that much more vivid. So that means that if uh, a situation develops that you're not enjoying, it can make you feel quite vulnerable because the potential for the sun in Uranus, Sun combining with Uranus on Friday, can really see an amplification, particularly around what you have a point of principle around, but that may have quite the impact on how you feel inside. So if you do feel that you should speak out about something and tell your truth, that's brilliant, but just be aware you might feel that quite keenly as the week draws to a close. I'm going to summarize those four areas of energy, work, relationships, and finances next. But just to say, you can order your personal horoscopes and get 3 for the price of 1. The one you pay for is your life roadmap report, which helps us to understand the patterns that are played out in our lives so far and get a more intimate understanding of what they are. Free, your 12 months transit forecast, and also your draconic soul karmic analysis. Natal astrology really helps us to unlock our future in the most knowledgeable way. If you've yet to watch your May monthly forecast, that's on the screen. If you've yet to watch your Uranus 78-year solar return Kazemi, please watch that from the screen. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, an absolute pleasure, Libra, please see my testimonials below. And if you've yet to take advantage of my free daily written horoscope, fire to your device each morning for your early day celestial pit stop, please see below about that too. So to summarize, as you enter this week, Venus, your ruler, is in a very lovely link with Mars at that time, still in its home sign of Aries. You may have had quite a flirty encounter over the weekend, but if there is someone you're aligning to that you're really enjoying the relationship, Tuesday's link between Venus then in Cancer and Mars in Taurus not only could be smoking with a sultry vibration, you may actually become much more committed to one another. However, if you're in a relationship of any kind, business or personal friendship, that you're not enjoying, Mercury's application to Uranus at the start of this week, and the Sun's moving to Gemini on Thursday and applying to Uranus on Friday, points towards liberating yourself from anything that you feel is too oppressive. So there is a theme of escape this week as well as commitment, but the commitment has to be where it feels right. As far as your professional situation is concerned, your people skills and diplomacy, especially if you do interact with the public or you have your own channel, really is going to be turned to max, and a very fortunate period is upcoming for you. As far as finances are concerned, Pluto's in your fifth house of speculation and links brilliantly with Mercury later this week. Information or knowledge that you're very much all over, you can get in touch with in a very precise way, can be helpful. But I think Mars moving into your eighth house will give you the desire to improve your finances more than anything else over the next 6 weeks. In terms of your energy, with Neptune right on that seventh house, if there are complexities around a relationship and any politics comes up with that quarter moon at the end of the week, that could prove to be a bit draining. But I think all this ninth house energy just reminds you that if you're not enjoying any part of your life, do seek to change it up and have the confidence to liberate yourself from any oppressive situation. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Have a great week and look forward to seeing you again soon.